Welcome to RHI CHAI, RHI Stories of Courage, Hope, Attitude, and Inspiration. My name is Sharon Clausen, and I am the Annual Fund and Events Officer for the RHI Foundation. And today I'm very excited because we have three wonderful guests with us. We have Sophia Shock and Amy Brammer and Amy's brother, Andy Thomen. Thank you so much for coming.
Alex.
Oh, and Alex, that's right. Let's not leave out Alex. And today they're going to share an incredible story about Andy. Andy, thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for being willing to share your story with everyone, all of our Facebook viewers. I really appreciate it. In June of 2020, you had a stroke. Okay. And then from what everyone has told me, you spent a couple weeks in the hospital, and then you were transferred to RHI, correct? And spent about 6 weeks there. Okay. All right. And during that time, my understanding is you did physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And I know Amy is here to fill in some of the pieces because it's not unusual at all when having a stroke or a brain injury. Sometimes that rehab process isn't always fully remembered. So,
and that's interesting because when we've been talking, a lot of the first half of the stay at RHI, he doesn't remember because he was just kind of his brain was coming alive and so forth. But I remember. After 2 weeks, I walked in and asked the therapist, "What's Andy doing today?" And they said, "What's Andy not doing today?" All of a sudden, he just physically was healing, and then was able to do more of his therapies and so forth. But he had a hemorrhagic stroke June 1st, and had been extremely healthy and active up until that point. And so all of a sudden, his life was just turned upside down. And I'm in the healthcare industry, and I was familiar with RHI, and so I worked really hard to get him to RHI and prayed really hard to get him into RHI, and because I knew that would give him the best possible chance at a good recovery. And they didn't disappoint. Clinically, helping him along the way, and then the therapists were really, really amazing. And worked him really hard every day. And he's really so motivated. He worked really hard every day. So it was a blessing. We were really fortunate to be there. And they were so good to us too. They become like family. Mm-hmm. And that Dr. Carboni, she's like part of the family now. She's Team Andy. She's Team Andy. So really appreciate that.
Andy's just always been a very humble, genuine, hardworking guy. And to see his life completely flipped around. And so thankfully I was able to be there at RHI to witness the incredible therapy that he received. And not only was the therapy incredible, the employees and the therapists and the doctors are all wonderful people. And I think too, it hit home for me because prior to Uncle Andy being there, my grandmother had a severe stroke as well when I was just in the 6th grade. And so I went there years ago and remembered how amazing it was. And so to hear that he was going to RHI, I was relieved. And I think the therapy that he had at RHI, put him in the right path to be able, to take steps moving forward to be home.
Right. And so, Andy, you are still currently receiving outpatient therapy at RHI, doing physical therapy?
Actually, we haven't gotten to take advantage of some things yet. We're going in different phases. Right now, he's doing in-home therapy.
Okay.
He does the in-home therapy, then we could do the outpatient therapy. So there's a lot of the resources that we still plan to take advantage of. Some of the outpatient therapy, the support systems that RHI has to offer. So we plan on looking into those too.
Well, I thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, I know, Andy, you've touched the hearts of many staff at RHI. So thank you so much. And for those of you who have joined us, thank you so much for listening to Andy's story. As you can hear there, I would not be surprised if we get to hear more of his story later on. So many of the programs that Amy just mentioned about them wanting to take advantage of are offered at RHI because of funding from individuals like you. And so we do have a link included with this post if you would like to support some of our initiatives like brain injury coping skills, art therapy, so many other things that support brain injury and stroke rehabilitation. We would just so appreciate your gift. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.